Hey Alex, I wanted to give you some feedback on your newsletter for GRD 140. First of all, the really like the nameplate. It is or appears to be very young, targeting an early 20s to early 30s um, audience, and I think that based on what I'm reading in it, that is who your target audience would have been as well. Innovative in terms of how you've developed your table of contents. I like a lot the way that you've done the stacking here and overlapping here. That definitely sets a tone or a style to the overall layout. I think that this paragraph, this column might be a little long, um, only from the standpoint that actually it's really, I'm reading it fine, so I may take back that comment, or at the very least, maybe include or increase the leading if you don't want to cut down the column size. It just seems by comparison to these two, these are easier to read than this one. Now that said, I want to make sure that I know what I'm talking about when I try to read through it, but that does seem to be the case. The masthead is, again, nicely done, well organized, has all the appropriate information. I think if I'm going to kern a letter or track letter forms, I think that's just a little bit too wide. Totally get what you're doing here. You're trying to align the ends of the letter forms, and makes perfect sense. I still think that this might be a little too wide for, I guess, conventional graphic design rules, whatever. Again, this is really nicely done. I think that you meet all the criteria in terms of the jump to and the jump from. This is nicely set apart. I like the call out here. This takes up some space for the overall layout, but it makes it interesting and makes it more accessible. This down here is well done as well. This must be one of your ads or both of your ads, and they're well placed and well designed, nicely conceived. Love this illustration. I'm making a wild guess that that might be your illustration. I also like the way that you've aligned this. Really nicely done. Interesting, fun to look at, and it really drags me in to make me want to read it and see what's going on there. Like the white space here that you have allowed. I'm not so sure about the typeface here. You make a pretty abrupt change between this and this. And I know you're probably doing that to set that apart. I don't know if it's an interview or what it is, or maybe directions to doing something. But when I first looked at it, it looked a little unwieldy. I'm not so sure that's a problem, but just pay attention to that. Take a look at it a couple of times to make sure that's really what it is you want to do with that layout. And again, overall, excellent. Nicely done, meets all the requirements. I know this has been a tough semester for you, just based on all the work you've had to do, but I'm impressed that you have really put what you've put into each and every one of your projects. Good job, Alex. It was a pleasure having you this semester.